get started. So today we're going to be talking about something called atoms. You guys probably heard about it before and read about it in the assignment from last time. But let's get started. So you guys don't need to copy this down. This is just for your reference. So please, this is all posted for you. You do not need to copy everything down unless I let you know. But you learned last time in the article that matter is anything that has mass or volume. So just basically think of solid, liquid, gases. If it's a solid, liquid, or gas, it's matter. Okay, that's mostly what we're going to be talking about in this class. That's different from things like non-matter. It's something that doesn't have mass. So things like energy, abstract concepts, emotions, things like that. That's kind of my way of saying your emotions don't matter in this class. I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's not what we're going to be referring to. No, I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, so last time we talked about how everything is made out of atoms, and atoms are super duper small. You don't need to write this down, but in one drop of water, there are 1 billion trillion atoms. So you can kind of see how tiny they are, right? If one small drop of water has that many atoms. Okay, so atoms, when you combine them together, they make something called molecules. So I'm going to need you guys to copy this part down because this is kind of important. Thanks. So an easy way to think about the difference between atoms and molecules, I like to think of atoms as like the individual Lego pieces. So you know how you got like the square Legos, you sometimes have the long Legos, they come in different colors, right? Those are what atoms are. Atoms are just like the individual pieces. But when you put them together to make like a Lego house or like a Lego car, that's what a molecule is. Molecules are just when you combine the atoms together to make molecules. Yeah, what's up? No, you don't need to copy this part down. These are just examples for you guys. But so you can kind of see an example of a molecule. CO2, it's the gas that you're breathing out right now. The molecule is CO2, and it's made out of a carbon atom and 2 oxygen atoms. So you can kind of see the difference, right? The molecule is the big thing that's made, and atoms are the little things that make up the molecule. Okay, so you guys don't need to copy this down. If you want to, you can. It's just kind of for your reference. All right. Any questions about the difference between atoms and molecules? Hopefully it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so chemistry, we talk a lot about atoms and molecules, and it's the study of how they interact with each other and how they change. So you guys don't need to write this part down. I'm not going to be quizzing you on the different or like what chemistry is. But this is a quick example, and I kind of wanted to do a quick demo to kind of show you guys the stuff that we'll be doing in this class. So can I get one very brave volunteer? Yeah, Taylor, you want to come up? Can you come up right here? Can we get a hand for Taylor? Oh yeah, so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna take a chemical called methane, and then we're gonna turn it into 2 different molecules. All right. Okay, so let's talk about atoms. So atoms are made out of 3 subatomic particles. Please write this down. This will actually be a question on your assignment today. Okay, atoms are made of 3 subatomic particles. Okay, subatomic just means smaller than the atom. So basically, atoms are made out of 3 different things. Okay, so atoms are made out of 3 subatomic particles. And those 3 subatomic particles are named right here: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Now, I personally don't like writing a lot, and I'm sure you guys don't either. So instead of writing the full name, you can just write the symbol for these, okay? So proton, the symbol is a P with like a plus sign on the top right. Neutrons is an N with a 0 on the top right. And then electrons are an E with a minus sign on the top right. Okay, and whenever we talk about these things in the class, or you need to write down their names, you can always put P plus N0 and E minus, and I'll know what you're talking about. You don't need to write the full name down. Yeah. Yes, it does have to be lowercase. Yeah, the uppercase, we use them for things on the periodic table, which we'll get to in a sec, so I'm gonna have to insist lowercase. Great question, though. Okay, so atoms are made out of 3 subatomic particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Yeah. A minus sign. just a dash. Okay, so you might be wondering what's a plus charge, a no charge, a minus charge. I don't know if you guys have seen on a magnet before, but you guys know how magnets, one side is positive and one side is negative, right? It's just a different electrical energy. That's basically what we're referring to. So protons and electrons have opposite electrical energies. Or maybe on a battery, you guys might have noticed one side is positive and one side is negative. Same thing. It's just the opposite electrical energy. That's what we're talking about. And we'll talk more in detail about it later. Just know that protons are positive and electrons are negative for right now, okay? Okay, so let's talk about how these things make up an atom, okay? So in an atom, the protons, they're always in the middle of the atom. So I want you guys to copy this down because you'll be drawing this later for your assignment. But the protons will be in the middle of the atom, okay? Protons are always in the middle. And then you can denote that with, the P plus or with a positive sign. Okay. And the neutrons are also in the middle. So protons and neutrons are always going to be in the middle of the atom. Okay. So protons, neutrons in the middle. And then the electrons, they fly around the middle of the atom. So we can just draw them on the outside. Something like that. Okay, the key thing to remember is that protons and neutrons, they're touching each other. They're stuck together in the middle. And then the electrons, they fly around and they need to be apart from one another, okay? And so later, we'll go over some practice problems, but on your assignment today, you'll have to draw, I think, 2 different pictures of an atom. And so just make sure the protons are in the middle with the neutrons and electrons on the outside, okay? And then just for reference, this middle section, it's called the nucleus. You guys might have heard that term in biology, right? The middle of a cell where the DNA is, that's called the nucleus. Same thing in chemistry. The nucleus, the middle of the atom, is called the nucleus. Okay. All right, so that's what an atom is going to look like. And so just make sure when I ask you to draw an atom that you put the protons and the neutrons in the middle and electrons just separated on the outside. Any questions? Is this too easy so far? No? Oh, it's fine, okay. It's a very smart answer, because if you say yes, I have to make it harder. Okay, so let's move on from the general structure. And if you miss anything at any point, please don't stress out, because again, this is recorded and posted on Canvas, so you can always go back and fill in any of the blanks that you guys might have, okay? Okay, so you guys do not need to copy this down, but I just want to let you guys know the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons, it's going to change the atom. So depending on how many of each there are, it changes what the atom's going to do. We'll talk about these later this week and next week, but today we're going to be focusing on just the protons, okay? But for now, just assume that the atom has the same number of protons and electrons. So make sure you write this part down, the highlighted part, just so you know it for the rest of your assignment. And so what I mean by that is if you have an atom, just for today, if it has like 10 protons, just automatically assume it has 10 electrons. If it has, I don't know, 97 protons, just assume it has 97 electrons. This isn't always the case, but for today, we're going to say that's how it works. Okay. Okay, so you'll have some questions later on your assignment where I ask you about protons and electrons and how many there are. Just know that for today, they're always going to have the same number. Okay. Okay, so you can probably guess what we're going to talk about next. We're going to be talking about protons. It's written right here. So this is the last new thing that I'm going to teach you guys today. And then we're going to just do a couple practice problems to help you guys on your assignment after we finish, okay? So copy this part down. The number of protons tells you what elements it is. Okay, so if you want to know what elements or the ID of an atom, You just need to look at how many protons there are in the middle, okay? So the number of protons an atom has tells you what element it is. Okay? And you can tell how many protons an atom has by looking at the number on top of the box on the periodic table. So if you guys take a look at your periodic tables, you're going to notice that at the top of every box, there's a different number, right? That number tells you how many protons that element has. So for example, right here, hydrogen, it has the number 1. It means that it has 1 proton. Super simple. If you look at xenon Xe, it has 54, so that means it has 54 protons. God bless you. Okay, so if you want to know how many protons an element has, just look at the number on top. If you want to figure out what an element is, just look at how many protons that atom has. Okay, that's pretty much it. That's all the new info for today, and then we're just going to do some practice problems now, and then I'll get you guys started on your assignment. And again, you don't need to copy down these boxes. Just know the number on top tells you what the protons are. Okay. All right, let's try some practice problems. So I'm going to give you guys maybe about 2.5 minutes. You can work with the person next to you, but I want you guys to answer these 3 questions on your paper. Again, just a reminder, you do not ever have to copy down the questions for this class. Just write your answer with the number next to it. But I want you guys to work with the people in your group. Again, the people with the same number in front of you. I want you to write down on your paper which element has 14 protons, how many protons does bromine have, and which element has 5 protons and 4 neutrons, okay? So I'll give you guys about 2.5 minutes. Again, don't copy the question. Just write the number and your answer, and you could work with the people next to you, okay? So take about 2.5 minutes to do that. Alrighty, guys. So let's go over the 3, and then we got 1 more practice problem, and I'll have you guys start on your assignment. So for number 1, which element has 14 protons? We just got to go on the periodic table. Look for the number 14 on the top. So what element did you guys get? Yeah, silicon. Super easy. So you could have answered it by writing Si, or you can write out the full name. I really don't mind. It's the same thing. So I like to save a little time. So Si. But if you write silicon, that's totally fine as well. Just a heads up, it's not the same as silicone, so just make sure you don't put the E at the very end, okay? And if it's capital and then lowercase on the periodic table, make sure you keep the capital and lowercase, okay? This is not the same thing as this. This is sulfur and iodide. It's different from lowercase I. Okay? All right, let's go to number 2. How many protons does bromine have? You just need to look for bromine on the periodic table. It's right here, Br. And it has the number 35 on top. So we just put 35 protons. Okay, it's just a number on top of the box. All right, the last one is a little bit tricky. It's kind of a trick question. I wanted to mess with you guys a little bit. Anyone want to take a shot at which element has 5 protons and 4 neutrons? Yeah. Yeah, it's actually going to be boron, because if you look at the top of the box, it's the number 5, right? So remember, the number of protons is the number on top of the box, and boron has number 5. Now you might be saying, Mr. O, what about the 4 neutrons? The neutrons don't matter when it comes to what element it is. I don't know if you guys saw earlier, but neutrons have to do with something else called isotopes. We didn't talk about this, and we're going to talk about it next time. But protons always tell you what element it is, okay? So make sure you don't do like 5 plus 4 and get 9. That's 2 completely different things. So the answer here will be B, or boron. Kind of a trick question. If you guys got it, good job. If not, well, now you know. You only count the protons. Okay. Any question on those 3? Easy peasy. Guys, just gonna look at me. All right, let's do one last one, and this is also gonna be on your assignment, and then I'll get you guys started on the assignment for today. Okay, so number 4, we're gonna draw a picture of a helium atom with 4 neutrons. So what we're gonna be doing here is drawing what the atom looks like. Remember, I said earlier it's gonna be on your assignment. So in order to draw an atom, we need to figure out how many protons, how many neutrons, and how many electrons there are in the atom. So for helium, protons is really easy. You just need to look for helium on the periodic table. It's right here. He is going to be the number 2. So helium has 2 protons. And again, it's because the number 2 is on top of the box for helium. Okay, that's where we get the protons from. Okay. Earlier, we said that for today, we have the same number of protons as electrons. So if there's 2 protons, we got 2 electrons. And so now we have all the info that we need to draw the helium atom. Okay. All right, so protons and neutrons go in the middle. So we just need to put 2 protons in the middle. We're going to put 4 neutrons in the middle. Just make sure that they are touching each other. If you want to make the shape a little bit prettier than mine, more circular, you can. But I'm a really bad artist, so I'm going to keep it like that. So 2 protons, 4 neutrons. And then we just put 2 electrons just on the outside, not touching each other, just flying around. Okay? And that's it. That's how you draw an atom using that kind of information. You just need to find the protons, neutrons, and electrons. All right, so I'll leave this up here for you guys to refer back to. All the questions on the assignment for today, it's based on the questions that we went over. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so I'm going to put your to-do list up here on the board. But all you need to do is complete the assignment that's on Canvas. It's called Chemical World Plus Atoms. Please do it on a piece of paper because you're going to be turning in a physical copy. I'm not taking anything uploaded on Canvas. So once you finish, just throw it into the box where it says 5, and then I'll grade it and get it back to you. And if you guys finish, then you're good. If you don't, you can turn it in next time for homework, and just make sure you put your Chromebook away when you're done, okay? All right, good luck, guys. Let me know if you have any questions.